So if we could rise for the pledge. What is this young girl's name here?
Kim.
What is it?
Kim.
Carrie, could you lead us in the pledge?
Good. You do this.
Just start and we'll...
Just start. Everybody will keep going.
We'll chime in.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Start.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We could remain standing for a moment, and as always, remember our men and women in the service here with us today and not. And also some local folks, Augie Riebehalt, great guy, Catherine Thomas, and Billy Aston. Thank you. Not on the agenda, but I'm going to start with it, is the recommendation from the Chief of Police, Ken Scott, and I believe us, a motion to fill the position of detective with Officer Thomas Cleveland. Motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Murphy, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. So Tom, if you could come up, and the chief here, good. And are these your children?
Yes.
Good. Come on over. Come on over.
You got a name speech.
Did a great job.
You ready to talk? Okay. I'm sorry, don't get, how do you talk? What are their names?
Addison and Cameron.
And who else is here?
My mother, Susan, and my wife, Brianna.
Good. And there's some other folks here from the police department. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this has been a while since we have filled this position, and I know the board feels this way, that we're doing it with you because you're very capable of doing it. For many reasons we talked about. That's where we were downstairs in executive session with this gentleman. So with that, I'd like to give you this Powell Falls Detectives badge. I put it on your deck. Yeah, come on, just put it right here in the pocket. Come on, just put the pen right in the pocket. It's easy. You're not gonna pin them, you're just gonna put it in there. All right. All right. Mary Jane, you okay?
Yeah. What, do you want to shake again? Perfect.
No speech required.
Nice to meet you. Ma'am, nice to meet you. Now, do you guys want to stay for the meeting? No, okay.
Smart kids.
I did that for the county.
I'm not gonna end it all.
Thanks, Jason.
Make that by ice cream or something. In order.
So, first, Gina, do you have the two trustees who closed the meeting downstairs? You gave it to her?
Oh, Charlie was gonna give it to me. Yeah, the motion was made by Murphy, seconded by Aylward at 7:02. Thank you.
So I'd like to open up here with, at this time, it's like 10 after, a public hearing on local law 01-2018, which is the I think the papers are next up. So, legal notice has been in the paper. about the new parking regulations for the north end. You have the local law before you. And so this is a public hearing. Any public comment on the local law that we're proposing?
What does it say?
You haven't read it?
I wouldn't be asking.
There you go. We'll take a few minutes for Lieutenant Colonel Devereaux to read it. You don't want to read it? Yeah, read it.
Thank you.
A quick synopsis would be that we're trying to make everything along Main Street consistent as far as parking. So if, for instance, a building down closer to Thayer Gate wanted to add a restaurant, they wouldn't have an onerous obligation to have X number of off-street parking places. Whereas down on this portion of Main Street, you don't need the extra. So we're trying to make it uniform.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, is there any public comment?
You're gonna have time to discuss too, right? Or should
We
we do
would-
public comment?
Yeah, we could do it now.
So, the way it's written, this new law, and I'll ask the attorney, does this also encompass, or alleviate the situation we had with the property next to the fire department in the past, at the planning board level? So it will go up that far?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Because remember, that was an issue with that one building about parking. Okay.
You think it goes up there? Because it really says Main Street to Catherine.
You can't expect new businesses to come in unless this law goes into effect.
I mean, if the board wants to extend it even further, that's fine. You would know, I think it alleviates that problem, but if it doesn't, let me know and we can modify it, to make it more inclusive.
So maybe we ought to check into modifying it before we.
You know what I would, it's up to the board, but I'd like to hopefully pass this tonight. And we can always do a modification
let's
to Mountain Avenue from point A to point B.
Now, if you know exactly where you want it to go, then you can just tell me where
Where would it go to Astoria or across?
No, I think it should probably
You're talking
be
about the property across from the town hall, or am I wrong?
right next to the fire department. There used to be an auto body shop there.
Mountain Avenue, that's why I don't think this addresses that.
Well-
And maybe we could, if I may, maybe we could address that based on X amount of feet from the center of Main Street.
Well, we had discussed making it, like actually defining a wider area so that it would encompass properties that might be not quite on Main Street, just off of Main Street. That's really a decision for the board. That's a policy decision, and if the board wants to do that, and we want to define it
Well,
to
it's-
be
Can I just say
bigger.
something to you? This would include, I don't think we want to do a Perry Avenue, Drew Avenue. We can specifically modify, specifically with.
The
this-
business
with-
corridor?
Define it by property, from whatever the property is on the corner of Main and Mountain up to and including the building you're talking about next to on the east side of the firehouse. We can do that without it affecting Perry Avenue, Drew Avenue, which we might not want to do.
I understand.
But I thought that the way it was defined, it was actually south of that property, right? Where it come in on Main, and then it goes off to, on West Point.
Yeah, it starts at Catherine Street.
Right, so isn't Catherine Street here and that property's north
No.
of Catherine? It's not.
The property is, yes, the property that trustee Ramus is speaking about is north of Catherine
Mhm.
and west, northwest.
Right, but it fronts Main Street.
No,
No, it's in the
Okay,
B1,
alright.
it's in
No.
the B1 district. And the B1 district also encompasses, I believe it goes up to the Verizon building, looking at that particular zoning map there.
All right, so if you can, if you want to modify it tonight, if it gets much further beyond Main Street, then I would keep the public hearing open and not adopt it until next meeting.
Or
Or if you can be
the
very
B1, the
specific
B1 zoning
tonight.
district. That,
Well, the B1 zoning district takes in,
it goes up, it doesn't go up, as the mayor said, too far up those other streets.
it looks like it goes pretty far back, right?
yeah.
Yeah, it goes up to the Verizon building.
Right here.
Yeah, that's
So
not.
you're talking up, from Main Street, you're talking up this high. I think I would suggest to the board that we pass this local law and then modify it with destinations from Main up to a certain number on the building, whether that's the Verizon building or it's just that building on the west side of the firehouse, which we could go that high, and that would cover the folks across the street that have the bodega, which might become something else.
That's my point.
That,
you know,
yes,
because
we'll do that.
should that turn into a small restaurant or something like that?
We could-
B1
They would have an issue with
Yeah.
parking.
B1
Yeah.
is, so you could arguably say B1 unless you
Right.
think that's too much.
We'll talk.
Okay,
We'll massage this so it fits, if it's a new local law, fine, or a modification of a local law,
Yeah, I would-
fine. If not,
if it's too far off of what is in here tonight, then I would keep the public hearing. My recommendation would be keep the public hearing open, finalize it, and adopt it next time.
or we can modify it.
Or modify it, I think.
Well, if you pass it like this tonight, and then immediately modify it, you're gonna go back through the process, which you can do.
Yeah, well, the process was,
Okay, that's fine.
I appreciate it. Any other public comment or board comment?
Yeah, so the board got this email from the Consolidated Planning Board, right? Did you get this, Brian, also, in your box? So you guys were comfortable with this?
Well, I think it refers, if I'm not wrong, I think it refers, the town attorney refers to town code.
That's correct.
Which is
That's why
not-
I'm asking.
Maybe he
because-
doesn't understand it either.
Yeah, he's the planning board attorney, but he's referring to town code, and it should be the village code. So that's why I was wondering if you guys even read this. So I think, maybe we can touch base, down, at the Consolidated Planning Board, and just let them know that, there are two books that we're still utilizing. If
Will you be
please-
seeing Justin?
No, not unless you want me to give them a call.
At least, let
Yeah.
me give you this letter that Mr. Amos is referring to, and you can have this, and see if we need to call him just to respectfully correct it. It doesn't mean anything for tonight.
No, it doesn't. No, I was just
Oh,
making
it's
sure
okay.
everybody knew.
Yeah.
Because, 210 does not refer to village code. 210 is definitely town highlands, I believe. So, those are my only comments.
Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Just so we're clear, you're considering keeping it as it is written currently
Yeah,
and voting on that?
Yeah.
And then if there's a modification, that will happen at a future date?
correct.
Yes.
Got it, okay, thank you.
Is there anything further? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Public comment on agenda items. I'll move forward, mayor's comments. Is there anyone here that's going to talk about the art walk?
I, I could, or Charlie, if you.
Okay,
want
I
to.
just wanted to know, it'll come up later if you wish.
Okay.
But I would like to recommend to the board that $300 be taken out of beautification and given to the art walk, which has to raise money to put the art walk
I'll make that
And-
one.
on. Let's do it under new business, that's fine, I
Okay.
appreciate it. Are you bringing up banners?
Yes.
Okay, so in a little while, we'll hear a proposal from the chamber about banners, and I'm really glad to hear this because, as the beautification knows, when I sat with them, I don't know, time goes by, but at least maybe three and a half months ago, I had proposed doing banners. So when we talk about this is going to be veterans banners, which I think will go over very well, and what a more perfect place than in Highland Falls to have these veterans banners than in Highland Falls, so we'll talk about that in a little while. Run out of room. Elise, I have a folder for you and I later. Okay, one government study. The one government study was approved on December 21, 2015, as I have found it. That's when the approval for the proposed monies being allotted, $39,391. What I'd like to know, is there anyone in the room, I was thinking of you, Charlie, do you have any minutes or emails or notes from committee meetings prior to this board?
I think they're all in that binder. Tim Wiedemann and his staff were taking,
He has the binder?
yeah. I have a copy of the binder, but he would give us the updated materials.
Well, I'm looking for the any minutes, emails, or notes taken by the previous board, the previous committee.
I'd have to dig out my old notebooks,
Could you?
but I think his updates reflected any comments from
Okay.
those committee meetings.
Okay, I'll check with Tim. So we had a meeting in this room as the calendar goes forward on July 13th, 2017. And Tim had a projector and he shined it up here on the wall. And as those that were there, at least most of you who were there, will know that what came out of that meeting was incorrect numbers, in particular with the police department. And we had asked him to correct the numbers, and thereby he would have had to sit down with the treasurer, the clerk, the mayor, or the, in particular, really, the police department, the chief. None of that was done by Tim. So that has to get done, and when I call Tim, I will resurrect his memory there that that still has to be done. And so I had said, I think it was October or no, probably October of 2017, that I would name a new committee after the town board elections in November. So the town of Highlands had their elections, and new folks were brought in to be part of the town board. And I'll just say that something I should have done early on in the meeting. Councilman Richard Perry is here, and he's one of the new members, along with Councilman Richard Sullivan. So they didn't take over till January 1. They were sworn in, and so that was a month and a couple of days ago. And I have request out to 5 people to become part of the new committee. And I'm waiting to hear back from all 5. I can't wait forever, so I won't. But hopefully these 5 people will say yes. If not, I'll come back to the board and ask you for some recommendations, and we'll get a committee together. also during all of that time, no one on the board, I can speak for myself for sure, was procrastinating. This all had to be read. This was not during my time. There's a lot here. And this is too important not to have read this and to see what was going on back then. So that's been done now by myself. And again, I'll move forward with some of the, hopefully with the folks that I've asked to be part of the committee. If not, we'll reach out to others.
Just to stop you a second there, so where did this end?
Well,
You know, where do we start from where it ended now?
well, for me, that's a good question, and for me, I can only say again, our last meeting that we had was July 13th, 2017. And those in the room will remember that a lot of the figures weren't correct.
Okay.
I think, and I don't want to be held to this, but I think the figures that he was using were from the previous budget where, my words, the police department was decimated. And so the budget he was working off of wasn't really accurate. So that's where I think it left off, Murray, and that's what I want to talk to
But
Tim.
number-wise, we have numbers or we have no numbers?
There's a study online that you can look up.
Is that where we're gonna start off at again?
Oh, we're gonna start off, I believe there was a lot of incorrect numbers. I was
Right.
at that meeting and I asked
So
more
that's where,
questions.
that's where it's left right now, there's
Yeah.
incorrect numbers that have
Yeah.
to be put together.
Yeah, because
But we're not too sure, we gotta balance them all out first to figure out where that is.
I wouldn't even say balance, we need to just make sure they're correct first.
He's gonna do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he'll do that.
Yeah, there were assumptions based on certain levels of staffing that are no longer accurate, so.
Right, that's right, Charlie. That's exactly it. Okay, so that's that. Let me move on. Okay, I had a meeting with the, I had a meeting with the village engineer, the village clerk, about, to update us on engineering projects we have going. So, the engineer will meet with John Jones, the wastewater treatment plant operator, as I have here next week, but the meeting was this past Friday. So this week, to go over, to come up with a report on items that might be needed to be replaced. The Sue Kelly money that I often refer to, and I'm really happy about this, we've been able to bring it back. And it, according to paperwork that I have, it should be ready on June 20th and July 20th. The $500,000 for the rehab of Main Street with the painted brick buildings is, we're right on par. We had, the engineer sent paperwork to the state, and we're waiting to hear from the state if there's any more paperwork, or the paperwork he did receive is correct. The $80,000 from Community Orange County,
Yes, Mayor, on that, Restore New York grant, the 500,000, did the new engineer inform us about, the engineering costs and if we can take that out of the, grant itself? Or we don't know that answer to that question yet?
I want to say that we're going to be able, we're going to be allowed some, but I don't want you to write that down because I'm not sure.
Alright,
A lot of discussion, after the paperwork is all done, a lot of discussion with board members is going to take place.
all right. So we might have to look at our budgeting.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, thank you.
I'm sure.
All right.
The $80,000 from the Orange County Community Development, which I also see Jim DeSalvo in the audience, and I know he doesn't like this, but the fact is that you had a lot to do with us getting $80,000, so thank you.
No sweat.
The paperwork's been turned in and that's moving forward. Again, we don't hold our breath, but it looks like maybe April or May, the money might come in. And so right away, we'll go out to bid on sidewalks. The $200,000 from the state for sidewalks, we're waiting, we sent paperwork in, we're waiting for it to come back. And once that paperwork comes back with it being approved, we can go out to bid. So there'll be some good things happening soon. What I'd like to do is give you all this picture here, that came from the engineer. I'll do that. This is the problem at 65 Snyder Avenue. And we met up there. I had the water department up there, the sewer department up there, I was up there, and the engineer was up there. And this is the remedy they came up with. It's not for approval tonight, I just wanted to give you it, and you, please, talk to Kevin Hurst or John Jones about this. So, maybe even meet up there. So what we're gonna really do is be capturing the water, over on Sweezy and bringing it through here, over to Snyder, and then down through this person's yard with an easement.
Is
where the water-
that easement going to go through?
Yes, yes, I talked to him
Okay.
personally, and it will, and of course, I'll have to involve our attorney.
Okay.
But please, it's not something we're gonna do next week or next month, but we have to do it soon. So you have time to talk to the department heads. Okay. Okay. Water department, if anyone sees one of these tags, I can just hold this up like this on your door knob. It's letting you know that they responded to your service request. We'll call again. They're even doing your water use during the past billing cycle was larger than usual. Please check your leaks and call if you want us to assist. So this is good information if you see one of these on your doorknob. It's not a political campaign piece of literature. It's from the water department. Okay, so look out for that, okay? The water tank in the basement had to be replaced, as you know, in Village Hall. And there was a bill from our engineer. I didn't like the bill. He lowered it, he cut it in half. I'm sure he'll find a way to get it back. Attorneys and engineers do that, you know?
Except for President.
Yeah. Yeah, but he'll figure a way.
I understood.
Orange and Rockland, it's amazing, Orange and Rockland, who I'm glad will benefit by the president's tax rate cut. I'm sure all of us are seeing an increase in our pay. Of course, it's never enough to keep up with other things that are rising also, like Time Warner and Orange and Rockland. So Orange and Rockland in particular has proposed, wants a rate hike. That rate hike will start in January of 2019. And I just find it amazing that they would ask for, I mean, they don't even hide it, ask for an increase in residential rates in businesses, and yet get millions and millions, maybe more than millions, in tax cuts. Just an opinion. Vision has given us a letter. They would like to put a Victorian fountain. They say it's like the black cast iron Victoria fountain that's at the in the middle of town here by the parking lot where the kiosk used to be. It says identical, and they'd like to put it in Memorial Park. I'd like the board to approve this and also let them know that they should be also working with the DPW as to where and what's our responsibility, and most importantly, where the water line is.
Mr. Mayor,
Mhm.
I spoke with Ms. McClellan on this. She said the approximate location is going to be right near this spigot that's there now.
Where the hose is, I think.
Yes.
The garden hose.
And what I asked her is, and I haven't seen it, maybe she gave it to you, but I only asked her yesterday, so but if they could get us a picture of the fountain.
I haven't, and I don't.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I think it's a great idea to get the fountain, that other fountain in down there. She said, like you said, it's gonna be like the one that's up in
Mhm.
Hannibal.
That's nice.
So, like I said, a picture, and she said she would get that to us.
Great.
But we can make a motion without the picture, right?
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Is a motion in line right now?
No, I'm gonna do it in a little bit, Charlie.
Okay.
What was the other end I have to bring up? I see it later. All right. So, I know that Trustee Livesey knows this, because he got involved in this, but I have here, $95,325. $95,325 of unpaid parking meters.
Take it.
$95,325 unpaid parking meters. So I want permission from the board to bring in two companies that are going to be recommended to me by the police department that go after folks like this. Many years ago, when I was mayor, we did this, and it paid off. Yes, the company gets a percentage. Right now, we're getting zero.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah. Let me do that under new business. Okay, so that's what I want everyone to know. There's so many parking tickets here. Again, it equals $95,325. I saw Albert's name here a couple times.
What is it? Right, Lee?
No.
Okay, that's enough from me for a little while. Okay, so we have a discussion on the resolution for High Point Utility. It's what the board wishes to do tonight, which you have several options. As I said, it's discussion. Discussion? Any motions?
No,
Any?
no. So, there's a lot of discussion on this, I believe, before we can do this. There's too many questions that need to be answered from High Point Utility itself. I would like to know what actual companies that they're gonna be working with, what these companies have done in the past for other entities. I know they sent one email that said they were working with West Point. And then I read further into it, it was with actually the union up there that's working with the sewer plant. So I'd like some more information on those discussions for sure. It also said something in the email about the safety of our water system. I'd like some more input on what it is they're proposing. I asked this in the past when it was proposed to put a pipe in from Bog Meadow, and what the ramifications are, how much water Bog Meadow produces at this point in time, how big the pipe is the pipe gonna be big enough to supply not only the town and the village, which I'm sure it would be, but how much water is gonna be left over, and is it gonna decimate the ecosystem of the stream? Those are some concerns that I have right now, on that one particular part of the project, something that they have proposed in the past. They talked about some microgrid projects. I'd like to see some more information on these microgrid projects, where they're coming from. I believe I read something about the Connecticut River. How does that affect us? what is it they're doing over there? Is that hydroelectric over there that they're gonna be selling to us? There's just so much that I'm not comfortable passing this resolution tonight.
Okay, so let me ask the board how they want to handle this. We can have at one of our monthly meetings, we can invite High Point Utility here and go over all of this. We can have a workshop just on this issue, because it seems it could be a lot,
I would suggest a workshop,
all right?
Jim,
I'm comfortable with the workshop, sure.
because it's gonna be quite a meeting.
Yeah, well, there's questions, you know, and hopefully they'll have all of the answers, and if not, they can get back in touch with them, with the answers.
So that's what I think we'll just have the workshop, and set up a date.
I would suggest we have someone from our engineering group at that meeting, because, speaking for myself, rather than get bogged down with such a huge project, let our engineering company be there and let them work together with this utility company, and then let them report back to us.
I'm sorry, Brian, say that again? Who do you want to have it?
I can remember this one. We're gonna take the engineering company that we have, sit at that workshop, and then when they work together, because it's kind of overwhelming for us to do that, especially with what we got on our plates right now. Let them work together, let us get settled, and then our engineering company will, of course, report to us. I mean, we're paying them already.
Okay, so I'll schedule a workshop that fits everyone's, so everyone's here. I'll have the board here and the village engineer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the members of the High Point
Oh,
Utility.
and High.
Right.
And they are all volunteers, so if it could be a time that they generally meet, it would be.
I know that they meet
advantageous.
once a month on a Tuesday
First Tuesday.
at 6 o'clock. So I will, that would help, that would get them together. So I'll try to make it for a Tuesday. Okay. Just give me a little time to make this happen, all right? Okay. Do I need a motion for that workshop?
Not until you get a date and that you're gonna meet.
Yeah, once I get the date, we'll publicize it, yeah, okay, thank you. The next up for discussion is a resolution you have before us. Last week, the village engineer, down here, I'm still doing this one.
All right.
Yeah. The village engineer, the village clerk, and myself met with a fella named Russell Budd, recommended to us by our engineer. Now, what the meeting was about was to see what he could do for us, what his expertise is. What he does is he writes grants and he goes after low-interest loans in particular, but not only wastewater treatment plants. So as you all know, we have issues down at the wastewater treatment plant, and they're high-priced items. And so this gentleman would come in and do the work and apply for these grants and do all the application and the paperwork to follow up as a consultant to get some EFC funding, to do the EFC funding application itself, which is low interest. My recommendation is that we try this. In the past, the village, when I was here before, the village was very successful in this. And yes, there is a cost. There's also, if we do this, you would have me authorize me as the mayor to sign the resolution that's on the second page. Charlie, you know about that, right?
Yeah, for the record, I sat on the Environmental Facilities Corporation board when I was with the Department of State. I guess, well, without knowing what the charges are, generally, communities have their engineer submitted. I think I worked on one with Todd.
That's actually cheap now. Nothing's cheap.
It shouldn't be expensive,
Yeah.
and I would think our engineer would be able to, just knock these applications off.
Well, our engineer brought him to us to do.
In looking at this, Mr. Mayor, I think he's gonna charge us a little lower rate than what our engineer would.
Yeah, it's here. It's on page 3, $55 an hour, which is a lot for someone like me, but in that world, it's not.
So we might benefit from that.
I'd like to know how many hours he anticipates filling out these forms.
Well,
That's very.
it's more than filling out the forms, though. It's doing all the follow-up.
Would he care to come visit us?
Of course we can do that, but I can tell you that this is an emergency.
I don't think
This is-
we gain much.
Okay, so.
We really
okay.
gotta get this in.
Let's do it.
Part of the application is for the, I might have mentioned it before, is for the engineer to come down and do an
Right.
assessment of the wastewater treatment plant as part of this application.
Okay,
And timing is not on our side,
and finding money's good.
yeah.
Okay.
No guarantee, but we've done good in the past.
Mr. Mayor, just a quick comment, I did look at this proposed contract. My only question would be for the board, 6.1, section 6. The first one is a not to exceed total. I'm not
Yes.
sure then 6.1, 2 through 4, those are not included in the not to exceed, so are those additional costs? In other words, I can't tell from this whether, it looks to me like there's 4 different activities. The first is a not to exceed, and the other 3 are simply straight hourly.
Okay, and that's
Is that?
That's a good point to bring up, and as I reflect back on the meeting, which was last week, number 6.1.1 is the cost to do 1 through 4. But I will verify that.
You would want that clarified in the language.
I will verify that. I will verify that tomorrow morning.
You're asking for written.
I don't read it that way, so if that's what they're proposing, I would just have them clarify that.
Yeah, I will, Gina, do you remember taking anything from the meeting?
Well,
Okay,
yeah, the
okay.
The services are being modified to
In writing.
Okay.
I get it right, yeah.
Okay.
that was the only comment I had.
No, that's very good. So, I'm wondering if the board would approve this, for the mayor to sign this agreement, this resolution, as long as the answer to our attorney's question is that 6.1.1 covers everything up, including 6.1.4.
Yeah, you can have that not to exceed language.
Yeah. And if it's not, of course, I wouldn't sign anything and I'll come back.
Right.
You have anything, Jimmy?
No,
Does that make sense, or?
I'm glad the attorney picked up on that, and I think that needs to be put in there.
So we're capping at an absolute
We're gonna cap.
11,000.
It boils down to a
And-
cap.
And that can be reflected in the resolution, not to exceed X dollars.
Mhm.
So you need a motion?
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion.
And then the clarification in the language, so
Yeah.
that you're not signing something that,
Yeah, I'm not gonna sign. So, if I can ask the clerk, the motion is for the mayor, is authorize the mayor to sign the agreement with Russell Budd per the agreement, as long as 6.1.1 covers and to include 6.1.4 with written verification. Is that good, guys?
Yep.
You want anything to add?
No.
Okay, motion by.
I made a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey,
Second.
second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried, thank you very much. New business, approved minutes from January 16th, 2018, and January 29th, 2018.
Motion to accept.
Motion by trustee Murphy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, next is a resolution for the adoption of local law 01-218. Village of Highland Falls resolution of adoption of local law amendment to schedule of off-street parking space requirements for non-residential uses. Whereas an introductory local law titled Amendment to Schedule of Off-Street Parking Space Requirements for Non-Residential Users was introduced before the Board of Trustees of the Village of Highland Falls on the 16th of January 2018. And whereas upon notice duly published and posted, a hearing was held on said local law on the 5th of February 2018, whereat public discussion was heard concerning the merits of said local law. And after the hearing, from all those present wishing to speak and acknowledging no written comments had been received, the Board of Trustees declares the public hearing closed. And whereas the Board of Trustees determines that this was a type 2 action pursuant to the regulations implementing the State Environmental Quality Review Act, requiring no further seeker action. Now therefore be resolved that the local law titled Amendment to Schedule of Off-Street Parking Space Requirements for Non-Residential Uses of the Village of Highland Falls be and is hereby is adopted as local law number 01 of 2018 of the Village of Highland Falls on the 5th of February 2018. May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have roll call?
Trustee Alward,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Aye.
trustee Ramus,
Aye.
trustee Murphy,
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Aye. Motion carries. Next, thank you, everyone. Next, we have some surplus equipment. We have 3 pieces of vehicles in the Highway Department. There's a 2001 Chevy Tahoe, there's a 2003 Ford pickup model F-250, and there's a 2003 Ford F-350 4x4 dump truck. They've all been recommended they're all replaced and no longer needed.
One more, Joe.
I was gonna do that one separate, but we can do it together. The 4th vehicle is one that's in the police department being recommended for surplus. It's a 2008 Dodge Durango. You see the VIN number there, etc. So you have 4 vehicles. Be a motion to
Motion.
surplus those particular 4 vehicles?
Let's try to get some money for them.
Yeah, we get a little bit. Motion by trustee Murphy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Livesey, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, I need authorization to sign paperwork to obtain a chemical application permit for Roe Park Pond. This is a company that, we've already actually approved this, but this is the particulars to it for me to sign. It's something we do every year over at the pond.
I'll make a motion on this has to be done, so.
Motion by trustee Livesey.
Second.
Second by trustee Ramus, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, I would like permission to sign the Community Development Block Grant 2018. There's a municipal agreement. This is the one where we got the $80,000 to do the sidewalks over here at Lady Cliff Park. This will allow us to apply for 2018 this year, 2019, and 2020. No?
That's the next resolution.
Well, what am I looking at here?
There's 2. First one is the CDBG for the sidewalk, $80,000.
Yeah, that I have here.
And the second one is that we can apply for the next 3 years of community development fund.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're right. I didn't, you're always correct. Community Development Block Grant 2018, authorizing the mayor to a signature on the municipal agreement for the 80,000. So that we want to do, so I'm assuming you'll make a motion to have the mayor sign. Those are sidewalk, not repairs, replacement of sidewalks over at Lady Cliff Park.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Murphy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, now this one here is authorizing the mayor to sign so we can put projects in for 2018, this year, 2019, and 2020 to the Orange County Community Development Block Grant Program.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Ramus. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Art Walk is going to be from May to November. I would take a motion to transfer $300 out of beautification as a village contribution to the Art Walk.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Ramus, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried, thank you. Next you have an application to have the Art Walk. It's submitted, it has insurance on the back. Again, May through November, Thayer Gate to Memorial Park. So a motion to approve this event.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by trustee Murphy, second by trustee Livesey, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I do have a question for our attorney. The chamber is the sponsor in providing insurance. The wording in the release from the different artists, there was something in there that was a little off compared to what they're used to. So can we look at that release again and fine tune it so we don't have people thinking that, you know, they don't want to exhibit here because of the release?
Well, that happened last week, didn't it? When we look at that language once before. I'll look at it again. You can have the clerk send an email about it. Maybe you and I can talk about it.
Thanks.
Okay, so you got that straightened out?
Yes.
Okay, so next we have a request with the form, village application for the 2018 Farmers Market, which, it looks like June through October. The insurance is not submitted, so I would ask that this be approved upon insurance papers being turned in, and, which is something that we usually do it this way, and they get the insurance papers down the road a little bit.
Yep.
So we have a motion to,
I'll make a motion.
motion by trustee Howard, second by trustee Livesey, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you.
Great thing for the community.
Next, we have an event, the Easter egg hunt. Roe Park on the 24th of March. Rain date is the 31st of March, 9:30 in the morning to 10:30 in the morning. So for an hour, on March 24th, rain date the 31st. Attached is my request to use the Highland Falls softball field for the annual Easter egg hunt on the 24th. I am bringing a DJ to play light kids' music prior to the hunt. So I am seeking an exemption of the $50 fee for live entertainment. I will allow, if you guys agree.
I'll make a motion.
Motion, but, and to exempt the 50,
Yeah.
right? Okay, motion by trustee Livesey, second by trustee Ramus, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You have that, correct?
Yes.
They gave us insurance.
Yes, and the insurance is here. Thank you. Easter egg. Budget amendment. Now, this was approved, just for knowledge, this was approved back in, this board did the, wrapped up the budget. And it was put in there for this, and now they want to make the transfer. So the resolution, whereas $80,750.82 has been received from NYCLASS, which stands for what, Gina?
That's New York class, that's where the reserve monies are.
The reserve money, I'm sorry, that's right. That's where the reserves money, our reserve monies are. Whereas this revenue has been designated as transfer of reserves for fire equipment. Now therefore be resolved that due to unanticipated revenue The Board of Trustees approves and transfers to increase from the A 3410-0200 Fire Department Equipment and the Revenue Code of A 5990 appropriated fund balance for $80,750.82 for fiscal year 17-18. May I have a motion?
You may, so moved.
Motion by trustee
Second.
Murphy, second by trustee Ramus. May I have roll call?
Trustee Alward?
Aye.
Trustee Livesey?
Aye.
Trustee Ramus?
Aye.
Trustee Murphy?
Aye.
Mayor DiNapoli?
Aye. Motion carries, thank you.
Are we going to move on the drinking fountain?
Yep, right here. So we want to give Vision permission for the fountain that they describe in their letter as the same, identical to where they used to the one that's at the, up by Hannibal, to be installed at Memorial Park. Again, they're gonna have to work with the Department of Public Works. Motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by trustee Ramus, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Livesey, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I'd like to have permission to bring before the board a couple of companies that will help us recover some of the $95,325 in parking fees, parking meter tickets. Just promotion, just a motion to, you know what, I don't need a motion for that. You approved, and I'll bring something back to you all. Okay, thank you. Bills and claims for fiscal year 17-18, $224,488.69. May I have a motion to approve bills and claims?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by trustee Howard, is there a second?
I'll second.
A second by trustee Murphy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Getting down to the bottom. So, board comment, Charlie?
I do compliment the chamber on the number of activities that they've undertaken. The art walk is moving ahead. We're working on ideas for fundraising, and it's great that both the town and the village are supporting it financially. We do have a lot of money to raise, but we're hopeful that we'll get a lot of support from corporate sponsors. It was a terrific event last year, and it's shaping up to be even better. We're understanding everything we have to do and getting more efficient at it. And then the other thing is the banners, which, are we going to discuss that at all, or?
Are you bringing it up tonight?
Okay.
Okay.
Let's
So-
look forward to it.
Just a little thing from your comment about the village, and you're happy the village is participating in a donation and the town did. Someday, there's gonna have to be a discussion, because I agree with everything you just said. But what's happening now with this, and it's not a lot, okay? Parking tickets, 95,000, okay? That's a lot. But the village is giving $300 to the art walk, and the town is giving 500. 62% of that 500 comes from village residents. So we need to remember that. Nobody thinks of that. That's why someday there's gonna have to be a sit-down with people, and, you know, it's nice to town. I wouldn't expect they would do anything different than that, so I'm happy about that. But let's remember, that didn't come from Fort Montgomery. 60% came from us. Now, somebody wants to cut hairs and cut and split fingers and noses and everything else, and say, no, Joe was wrong, it was 58%, fine. I'm too old now to worry about that stuff. But all I'm saying is, someday there's going to have to be a sit-down, figure things out. Okay, Mr. Ramos.
That way I can get some stuff out.
I'll go.
Thanks.
So anyway, we spoke about Roe Park not too long ago, and we spoke about a grant that we applied for and all of that. and I'm just speaking out to the board right now, we really need to focus on the projects that we're going to go up here, because we got spring around the corner, and to be quite honest with you, we're gonna have to find the money, put the money out on this, as we know, until that grant comes through, because very, very soon, we have to start something up there. And when we start talking about, you know, the Easter egg hunt and all of that, and all these kids up there, we gotta really, once we start this budget, we have to really start looking into this. Because I would like to start taking bids on this, to try to find the lowest bidder on some of these projects, just to get things moving.
Now, I agree. You know, though, that the money won't be here for
No, I know.
longer than maybe,
That's why I say that we are going to have to try to find the money to pay for this, the same as I did for, when I was on the board with the park down there.
so the issue will be once
We're looking at about $75,000 to take care of all three.
I just want to say that once we do it and pay for it, that will no longer be part of the grant. You can't get reimbursed.
Right.
Because now it's,
Right.
okay.
We know how long the grant's gonna take.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, I agree.
We can't do it, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I agree.
just,
On some of those items have to be done.
yeah, this is gonna have to be done, you know. The next thing I have is, you know, when the snow melts out there, you get to see all the garbage that's really underneath of the snow. And I noticed a couple other things. I think we ought to have sort of a time limit on some of these garbage containers that are roll-off containers. So in other words, when somebody's doing construction on their home, or it's at a job or something like that, there ought to be some kind of period of time that that container's allowed to sit there. And I don't believe that there is.
Are you talking about the green
The green
town
roll-off,
provided?
no, the green roll-off.
Oh, you're talking about heavy duty
Right,
construction.
that somebody can order for their home or for a construction site or something like that. And the reason I say this is because there are some around town right now, and they've been there for months. And I don't think it's fair to the other property owners that they have to look at these containers that are still sitting out there.
They're on the property, Mark, or they're out on the street itself?
Some of them go on the street, some of them go on the property.
Mostly on the
So-
property.
Huh?
Mostly probably on the property, which is
Right.
nice.
So if they're on the street, I guess the question is, don't they need a permit to put something like that on the street in the
I-
building
I
department?
can't believe they're on the street.
I'll be honest with you, most of them, I think, are on private property, but I agree with Merv, that's an eyesore.
But there are, you know, based on our small lots, they do happen to be on the street every now and then.
They are.
So if that is the case, the question is, do they need a permit from the building department for that? And if not, they should, correct?
There should be a time period, that's all I'm saying. I mean, if you're gonna have one of these, especially sitting across from your home, there should be some sort of time period that, okay, listen, we're ready to use this roll-off. Bring the roll-off in, let's fill it, and then let's get it out of there.
Well, typically, if someone's doing construction work on their house, they've probably gotten a building permit to do that.
Right.
If they have a building permit, then the time frame should be in the building permit. So if
Okay.
it exceeds the building permit time frame, then it should be, it's an enforceable, violation by the building inspector.
We need to look into this, because I've heard a lot of comments from some residents on these things. So we have to look more into that. And this also goes with what Charlie was saying one time about vehicles, unregistered vehicles that are in different areas and this and that. And I know Charlie, I don't know what went forward with that, if anything.
Well, if it's on a street and it's not licensed, it is in violation.
But it could be on somebody's property
If
though.
it's on someone's property and visible, is the chief still here? I
He's
think
back
it's
there, he's
still-
peeking around the corner.
If it's visible on private property, is it, if you have two unlicensed, or if it's any vehicle?
Any.
And that's building department handles that.
Okay, that's right.
The next thing, this would be real quick. There's a lot of children's programs starting up, a lot of sign-ups right now. So for all of those residents at home that need their kids out of the house soon to get out there and play, there's a lot of stuff going on. Go down to the town hall and see Aaron. There's a lot of programs starting up right now for spring and summer. Another thing, I think Jim would agree with this. Some of these storefronts, the windows, we gotta do something about this. It's looking rough, some of these stores. I mean, it's really taking the appearance, when you look at these, like, wow, what's going on here? I think there should be some kind of, I don't know, some protocol on how, if it's a vacant store, how that's supposed to be addressed, the front, you know.
It is, but you're totally correct. There's too many of us working too hard to make Main Street what this community wants. And yes, you're right on something you said before, it's the time of year, the snow melts and things just look gray and dirty. And it's true. The storefronts are a disgrace. I don't care anymore, it's the truth.
It's gotta be taken care of. I don't know what the way we should do that, but it should be all in uniform if it's gonna be a vacant store, and
Yeah.
that's the way it should look. And
Well,
sh-
a suggestion on that, maybe we should contact the high school and the art department and see if the kids would like to come down and possibly do some type of painting. I've seen this in other communities on those vacant storefront windows. Whether it's a spring theme, maybe a summer theme, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm sure we could possibly get, the kids would love to come down and get a little extra credit for that. So maybe,
From the kids.
Yeah, the kids.
Are getting permission
From the
property
owners.
You're not just-
We had a
A difficult-
committee
Yeah, I know.
that went
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
tried to get cooperation to do a pop-up store or something, you know, artwork, the materials from the Historic Society, and they couldn't get any cooperation.
So it was like pulling teeth.
It was worse than that.
It's hard, it's hard, Jim, but when I was a kid, a long time ago, windows were painted, especially Halloween
Yeah.
and maybe Christmas. But you're right, that's a great suggestion. Charlie, what I would like you to do is to talk to Brewster and bring it back to us, dumpsters,
Yeah.
construction dumpsters, in the street or in the yard for a length of time. If we need to adopt, we'll adopt. I think that the building department, inspector needs to come out, which I know he does, but he needs to look around. There's a building over here.
I've already talked about it.
Yeah, but it's been like that for 2 months. That's a disgrace. It's not even, it's worse than a disgrace. And there it is. There it is.
I'll talk to him again.
And you've
Building
talked to him.
inspector, yes.
And see, that's the issue. That's the issue. And I'm not gonna try very hard not to go off on that issue tonight.
I will.
That's the issue.
I will.
Good, go. I agree with
We
you.
separated the building inspectors. I'm suggesting at least taking a look at bringing one back, look at the cost. What are we losing by not doing the appropriate fines when needed and keeping Main Street in better shape?
I couldn't agree with you more.
And then lastly.
It didn't work.
The maintenance, actually, I did go over that law with our attorney. We already have the capability of escalating the cost to the property owner.
Yes, we do.
We really need to get going on that, because I gotta tell you, sometimes it's like, you could have something look so nice, and it's like having a beautiful green lawn that's cut perfectly, but there's a bag of garbage laying out.
Well, that's exactly,
You know, and that's-
you're exactly right. We're gonna put new sidewalks in before this year is out, up at the north end, from Thayer Gate down to Cousins Avenue. We're gonna put brick crossways, when you walk across, what is it?
They're gonna stamp it.
Stamp it. We're going to put something I've been wanting to do for a long time, trees on the sidewalk. A lot of trees on the sidewalk, the right kind of trees on the sidewalk. And then, so that's beautiful, like you said. But if you don't have these store windows clean, or presented in the way they should be presented, then I can put all the trees I want. It's not gonna matter, okay?
Then, my last thing is the old guard. That building has to come down. That building has to come down. It has to
We've been
come
talking
down.
about that.
It has to come down. Enough of that building, it's just like, enough of it. It's gotta come down.
I stopped in the building department last week and I asked They haven't applied for any permits yet, and none have been applied for yet.
It doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise
They
me.
have 2 full-time employees there.
Do
2.
But the excuse shouldn't be for what they applied for, the excuse should be for,
2.5.
how come the building's not torn down then?
Come on.
That's what it should be.
Has the developer's agreement been
Yes,
finalized?
yes,
Oh, we're
yes,
done on all that.
yes,
Absolutely.
yes. No, so Charlie, you have some homework, okay? Dumpsters on private property and the street, construction dumpsters, storefronts, and Puerto Rico. Merv, I like the things that you brought up.
Cleaned up spring's coming.
Charlie, or Brian?
We're mistaken for each other.
Yeah, we do. Except I'm older. Okay. I saw Aaron today, and we gave him red flags and green flag. I asked him to put it in a place where kids can see it. The one they have now is tied around a small sign, and it faces the baseball field.
Little League field, right?
Right. I'd like to see it placed in the middle so kids can see it. If at this end, you know, little ones aren't gonna see the flag all the way down the other end, but if it's in the middle and flying. So he's going to do that, he said he's gonna get right on that. This is a pretty radical idea. I was wondering if we could have a barber shop pole for a barber down here. I mean, it's radical to have a barber shop pole, I understand that. But, you know, if new businesses are coming in,
You're making a joke, right?
then they should be able to have a barber pole. I don't understand that. Now, is that a zoning thing that we have to do as a village?
Brian?
Can I interrupt, Brian?
Sure.
I did relay that to our attorney. We can get the barber pole. Right now, our code says any sign has to be 10 feet above the
That's
sidewalk.
what's prohibiting him.
And
We
not
can
in
change the law.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
To
you
make
have
it
to do a
7.
zoning.
So here's the law
So I'm
that
asking for-
the building inspector is referring to, this and this. Could you work something up that will allow this radical idea of a barber shop pole to be placed?
Outside a barber shop.
Outside.
We're not gonna put one at the bank.
That's a good,
It's radical, but
Just letting you know.
we want to be a little different.
I think I can
Thank
get
you.
people to support me, Jim.
At the bank?
The other one is, I'm hearing a lot of complaints about cars in the yard also. And again, there were 2.5 people in the building department. If they're rusty and there's no plates on them, and you're walking down the street, people are saying, you know, it looks horrible. All I'm suggesting is that perhaps they could make a concerted effort to do something about the cars.
Apparently, if they're covered, they become legal.
Yes, if they're covered.
But if you're suggesting that, I mean, I believe it can already be enforced,
Yes.
so.
We have a good code that we adopted years ago about, whatever you wanna call it, junk cars. Something that's there's no registration, it expired, that kind of, it's there,
So it just needs to be enforced.
yes.
But I think we need to enforce the fines, because just having the cars towed, which we are legally able to, we end up paying for the tow, because generally these vehicles are not worth anything, so that people don't retrieve them.
But you have the ability, and the building inspector can impose fines.
Yes.
How does that work, chief? If a vehicle is towed, do they pay for that, the owner's expense,
No.
or?
If the building department's gonna do it, then it falls on the municipality. See, we tow from the street. We don't go on private property to remove cars. Businesses call us up and they might have someone illegally parked on their property. We can issue them a summons for parked on private property because they didn't have the owner's permission, but it would be up to the building or the property owner to remove them.
And again, the cost of enforcement can be levied on property. So you have to look at the code again, but arguably, if there's been a violation that hasn't been remedied, and you now need to go on and tow vehicles, that's an enforcement cost that can be levied.
So we should be doing it.
Okay.
And the barber pole you're gonna look into?
Yeah, we just have to look at that and figure out how.
You need to modify your signage.
Right. And the code enforcement for cars, we can also start working on about fining.
Well, that's something that the building inspector.
Yeah, I have a list of what Charlie's gonna go down and talk to him about. Sorry.
Good. All right, so, I was in contact with the health department, and I got a couple of, flyers that we're gonna put up downstairs. This talks about the fish in the river, and can you eat the fish out of the Hudson. I also have some other small, flyers, and it's got some maps in it, not only for the Hudson, but for the Catskill region. Also, again, it talks about, who should and shouldn't be eating the fish and how much you should eat. And also with that, I was able to obtain some coloring books for the children. So we're gonna put these downstairs, and I was speaking with the mayor about this, and he brought up a great idea.
Say that again?
You brought up a great idea. And it's possibly about having a contest for the kids with these coloring books. And maybe any kids that would like to come down and pick one of these up, color them, and then drop them back off with their name on them. And then maybe Easter, we could
Sure,
pick a winner.
sure.
So,
Absolutely.
again, they're great coloring books, they're for the younger kids, they got some connect the dots, they got some other puzzle games in there. Please, if we run out, I can always get more. I gave away 100 the other night at another organization that I was at, so, and I got another 100 ready to go here.
I can do that, Jim.
Kids only, right?
That's all I got.
Kids only?
Well, if you stay in the lines, Mr. DeSalvo, you can color too.
Oh,
Thank you, Jim.
a radical
Public
idea.
comment?
And allowed to use that word in the.
And the rules on public comment are 3 minutes. You can be shorter. Hey, public comment?
Jim, I want to go.
Yes? Your time starts
Me?
right now. You're on your time.
All right.
5 seconds is up.
Jim Modlin, Highland Falls Chamber of Commerce. A couple things. One, thank you for the support on the art walk. We're going full bore forward with that. Two, more than a couple of comments. Two, totally support what you're talking about not leaving money on the table in terms of the parking tickets. A lot of the things about the buildings on Main Street, those are in the codes. We've had some discussions about that before. I think there's an enforcement aspect to it, so there's a lot of opportunity to be bringing some revenue into the village and to help get things cleaned up on Main Street. Three, on the barber pole, happened to be talking to that barber today. He is doing exceptionally well. He is bringing in business from across the river, down in Rockland County, north of us and also west of us. A lot of word of mouth, the type of stuff that we need with a lot of our businesses, using social media, using internet posts, doing a number of different things. In fact, it seems like a lot of his business is coming in from as much or more people outside of Highland Falls as it is in Highland Falls. A lot of business from West Point. So very, very good success story with that. We talked about one of the things the Chamber of Commerce is going to be doing with banners for veterans. Some of you, this is an example, some of you may have seen these in other communities. The company that we are working with to provide this is the one who has done this also for Stony Point. But a very, very nice banner, and the concept behind this is that this could be sponsored by a business, could be sponsored by a chamber member, could be sponsored by a family. Anyone in the community, living or deceased, to honor a veteran. Picture and so forth and so on. The color scheme is going to be a little bit different, but basically a red, white, and blue color scheme. And it's going to be what you see here, also on the backside, although it doesn't show it here, so that regardless of how someone would be approaching the banner, they would be able to see the person's picture. Would like to get, and it sounds like we do have, but would like to get the village board's support on this. We'll be needing to use DPW to be able to get these, installed the right way on the poles. I'll be coming to the town meeting also to get your thoughts on extending this on through Fort Montgomery also. But really making it a good, nice Town of Highlands type of honor to our veterans.
Jim, the picture's on both sides?
Yeah, what you see here will be on both sides.
Okay.
This one doesn't show
Okay.
it, but that's something we've talked to the manufacturer about. So this way, regardless of how you're coming, you're gonna see this. which
3
I-
minutes,
would be good. Is that it?
3 minutes.
Okay,
How
and
much?
so,
How much?
we're still working out the details on the price. Our next Chamber of Commerce meeting is gonna be the 16th of February, 4 o'clock at the center, and that's gonna be devoted to predominantly talking about this, the details on what needs to be done, how to roll it out. So if anyone has any questions, wants to sponsor someone, thinking about it, come to that meeting, and we're gonna have the specifics on it.
I'm very happy that the chamber picked this up because, as I said earlier, it was the beautification committee and myself that we're gonna do this, but this is great that somebody
Yeah,
else.
and this is gonna be good, we're gonna roll it out, and again, would really like to talk to the town from
Yeah.
a Fort Montgomery perspective also, so.
We have to look too what brackets we have left. We had banners up.
These will come with brackets.
Okay.
Oh, they
Yeah,
come with
they will come with brackets, everything that is needed to mount it, we'll just need the right people to mount it.
And I'll work with you with DPW since I'm the liaison.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, public comment?
Any public comment?
Oh, there, sorry.
Okay, so in keeping with tradition, trustee Livesey had a birthday on February 1, 36 years old.
Yes.
You know what comes next.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Martha. Happy birthday to you.
All right, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you, everybody. This has been a great meeting. These are the kind of meetings we like to have. Good stuff is happening, and I can tell you, along with some positive, I see the owners here of what we know as Facility Souvenir Shop, the brick building up at the north end. I see what you've done so far. I'm very excited about what you're gonna do there. And I can also tell you, if you drive around town, the back streets, you see less homes for sale. They're being bought, and I've been in several of them that were bought by new owners, and they're just doing a fantastic job inside. Really nice inside. And also something that hasn't happened in years, folks are coming into town, looking at Main Street buildings and putting offers down immediately. That happened less than 2 weeks ago. 2 very, very large buildings on Main Street. The day they came to talk to me was the day they went and made an offer on these 2 particular buildings. I don't know if the offers have been accepted, but these folks see something. Just like the 2 of you, you see something here. You see something here. You know, and you've talked to several people before you went and bought the building. And I don't think what you have heard won't come to pass, because it will. It's happening. It's actually happening. I couldn't be happier. So thank you for coming to Highland Falls. We welcome anyone to come to Highland Falls. And we want to work with you. We want to work with you. You come across a roadblock. You had a couple roadblocks, man. In my old age, we did the hurdle thing, and we got over it, okay? And I'm glad. Again, there's many people here that welcome new folks, and from what I see, things are happening, and I think it's just great.
IGA was sold.
IGA was sold.
Rob's last day is Sunday, and the new owner is already in there meeting people.
And the 2 large buildings that I'm talking about are at the north end, but that wasn't one of them, but yes, thank you. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Motion by trustee Murphy, and second by trustee Ramos, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.